Hello, and welcome to another episode of Walk the Dog Cinema. Here we are, out and about, me and Roka, enjoying the nice sunny weather. It's actually beautiful, nice spring day, basically, even though we're not quite at spring yet, but we're getting close. Maybe a couple more weeks, but Roka has been eagerly waiting to get out and get a look. As you can see, try to get her to look at the camera, but she knows whenever I'm recording, for whatever reason, always camera shy. But so today, doing a movie challenge question. Favorite Sylvester Stallone movie. What's your favorite Stallone movie? Mine, I kind of had to ponder this one because Stallone's got quite a big resume. He has some interesting low-key gems that I kind of like Victory, Nighthawks with Rucker Hauer. I wouldn't call them like particularly action movies. Staying with this action theme, was best Schwarzenegger film, which was a little bit easier. But because there's like three movies, two he did in the 90s that I really dig, Demolition Man and Cliffhanger, which were kind of like 80s action movies with some 90s sensibility added into them. And then obviously he had his Rambo movies. I love the very first one. I love all the Rambo films, but in the sense of action, and obviously the first one is a great movie. But in terms of everything for me, what it means to me, the biggest, like for me, the favorite that I just kind of always get stuck watching is Rocky 3. And you go, really? Yeah, Rocky 3, like it carries all the nostalgia of the 80s. But I was a young guy who went to the movie theater. I actually went with my grandfather, so there is a little bit of a tie to my grandfather about that. He wasn't one to go to the movies all that often for whatever reason. He really liked Rocky movies. He somehow he was into boxing, liked some of the absurdities of just Rocky, with the punching and stuff, but he always found him entertaining. I dig Rocky 3 over 4. 4 is like really super 80s. But for me, like Rocky 3 kind of set the 80s with the soundtrack, Eye of the Tiger. You got Hulk Hogan in it, Mr. T. It's just kind of like this culmination, but also it's actually like a really good movie. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Rocky 3. So yeah, Rocky 3, it's kind of like my go-to Stallone movie. It's kind of the one where, he's all ripped and cut and like has this great physique. He just looks really good in the film. Like it's kind of like just like the height of Stallone, so to speak, in terms of like the craze, where he's kind of like competing with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's kind of like all this like tie-ins starting to bubble over. But the crazy thing with Rocky 3 is actually the first time I ever saw it. I saw it in the theater with my grandfather, like I said. I had never ever seen a Rocky film up to this point. I was a pretty young guy, but I'd never seen Rocky 1. I might have kind of caught a glimpse of it, but Rocky 1 really isn't an action film like Rocky 3 is, in terms of how things are done. It's kind of slow moving, so I wouldn't have given it much attention. And then I never saw Rocky 2. Rocky 3 starts off with a flash, right from Rocky 2, setting up the ending. So this was kind of my first foray into Rocky. I kind of recognized Stallone from First Blood. I had seen that movie somehow before this one, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with that one. But if anybody points, let's point that out, that there's no way that could have happened, I'll buy into that. But I knew Stallone. I had seen Nighthawks before, so I kind of knew who Sylvester Stallone was. But like I said, I'd never seen a Rocky film. Wasn't like this big Stallone guy. I really knew who like Clint Eastwood was. We in the house, especially my grandfather, but we're big like Clint Eastwood fans in that sense, with his westerns, but Dirty Harry, and just kind of a lot of other stuff that Eastwood did. But my grandfather was a big Western guy, loved Western movies, read Louis L'Amour, things like that. So I was really versed in a lot of those kind of movie stars at this period of time. So this was kind of me growing into something a little bit different for myself. But yeah, I remember sitting in the theater. It was a theater that I ended up working at much later down the road, the West Cove Theater, which is no longer in West Covina anymore. But yeah, it was a interesting time seeing the movie. I knew who Mr. T was. I was already kind of, if I'm not mistaken, watching the A-Team, but I knew who Mr. T was. And to say his character Clubber Lang didn't have an impression would be an understatement. But I didn't inherently know who Hulk Hogan was, and his Thunder Lips is awesome in this, by the way. It's the best job that Hulk Hogan ever did in the movie. But and it's a fun sequence where, you know, they're making wrestling real while they're doing this exhibition between a boxer and a wrestler. And it's quite a funny scene. The showmanship, just kind of everything about it screams 80s, but it is a great sequence. And later, kind of when I got into wrestling, it was kind of crazy to see Hulk Hogan and kind of tying it back to this kind of movie. And so, like, this movie has a lot of firsts for me in that regard. And so I'll admit that there's a nostalgia factor to Rocky 3, but inherently, you know, when we pick our favorite films, you know, when we kind of look at art and why it resonates with us, you know, there's the emotional attachments. It doesn't mean it's the best movie ever made. You know, our favorite films don't have to be masterpieces. It's just, you know, what it ties to us emotionally, what it ties to us artistically, and those elements. And, you know, Rocky 3 is kind of like all the time when you sit down and watch it, you can kind of remember where you were at in life or what you were doing. But, you know, I remember the sequence, you know, he's driving in the car and he's kind of going over it, and you get Eye of the Eye of the Tiger song by Survivor, and he's just driving around. And I didn't really know the Mickey tie-in because like I said, I hadn't seen 1 and 2, but Burgess Meredith as Mickey, his trainer, when he gets shoved by Clubber Lang. Spoilers if you've never seen Rocky 3, go see it. Watch it right now. There's many ways to watch it, but the crazy thing with that is, you know, even I got emotional as a little dude, only just from how Stallone played it and just how the scene worked. But, you know, like some of the emotional resonance of, you know, Carl Weathers' character Apollo coming in and training Rocky. I kind of didn't know Rocky 2 except for the beginning of this film, which kind of showed a flashback, but my grandpa kind of told me what was going on a little bit with it. So, you know, I just love the action aspects. The boxing scenes are really cool. It was all really dynamic, moves really well, has a great pace to it. Like I said, the music is great. The ending's just awesome, you know. seeing Rocky lose his championship to Clubber Lang and then gaining it back. Like, it's kind of every 80s trope, but it's done in just such a fantastic manner that like it just carries over. It's like you can also look at it from a screenplay standpoint. There's like a lot of things that it does that are excellent and that you could teach, like how you set things up, even in a sequel coming off of 2 other films, how it can stand on its own but also kind of pull back in things. I think the first Creed does a great job of kind of mirroring Rocky 3 in that sense, and I think that's what like resonates with Creed in how they dealt with some of that. It kind of has the same pacing and action to it that I really dig Creed because of that. Like it kind of harkens into the Rocky 3 vibe. But yeah, Rocky 3, you know, from beginning to end, like I said, it's basically an hour and a half, moves crisp, has a lot of good story points, and it's just a fun action film that I think, you know, Stallone like kind of caught lightning in a bottle in the one sense. Like, goes over the top with Rocky 4, and Ivan Drago is like a really cool villain, so to speak, but it is over the top. I mean, even much more so than Rocky 3, where I think Rocky 3 still has like some restraint, but with this like 80s gloss to it that's kind of cool, you know. And I wouldn't be remiss to talk about the training montage. Every Rocky has them. This one, on one level, isn't as good as 4. I mean, I don't know how you beat 4s with the burning heart and kind of with the snow and just back to basics kind of thing. But this one kind of has like 2 montages, which is kind of interesting in the sense that, and both of them serve an effective story purpose. And I'm not saying the other ones don't. But you know, Rocky, the movie's always kind of had those training montages. The first one is really just kind of him running, and yeah, he does with the chickens and things like that, but it kind of has that great 70s archaic handheld feel to it. You know, and you know, we got the one where, you know, he does the victory cheer and all that up the Philadelphia steps and everything. So all of that, you know, but 3, you know, it has the first one where he's leading the glamorous life, and you see Clubber Lang just going at it and training hard, and this is for their first bout. Rocky's kind of like just blowing it off, and it's a great training montage to set up the ending montage, obviously. But again, from a storytelling standpoint, you know, the script does a great job of showing the dichotomy, one not taking it serious, one taking it serious. Just the aggressiveness of Mr. T's training montage interloped with Stallone not taking it serious, and just the music, you know, it already inevitably sets the fight up, and how everything kind of goes down. And we get to the heart of the movie, which has a great theme about losing your lust for life and gaining it back, and how we battle our demons and our fears and trying to overcome them, and you know, always doing things that are 10 level best that we can. And you know, movie does a great job of not like totally beating you over the head with that, but really like giving this moral message that, you know, your body's a temple, and treat it as such, and the people around you with dignity, and your life will be better for it. And so those little things I really dig about the underlying aspects of the film, you know. And then we get to, like I said, the second training montage, and he, you know, he's going at it with Apollo, and he's running on the beach, and like that sequence, I've always just kind of like dug it. And the crazy thing is, you know, I mean, like Carl Weathers is like way more jacked, and heftier than Sylvester Stallone, and they really make you buy in that he could kick Carl Weathers' ass somehow. But Carl Weathers is awesome in it, and as his trainer, and how he gets him going, and and of course you got to get the eye of the Tiger Rock, and so you get the classic line from the movie, and you get the great ending of who punched who first, and I love that they play off of that in Creed, and take a harken back to that. So just all of that is kind of a fun. Even Rocky IV, I think, it starts off with him and with the black eye. Obviously Creed got connection too, so from beginning to end, it's a fun movie. But that training montage at the end, like I said, is just like kind of 80s encapsulated. So if you ever see an 80s movie that you want to like wrap up with someone more so than anything, Rocky 3 is kind of like the start of that 80s movie. I mean, there's a lot of 80s movies that you can nostalgia bomb someone or really show them what the 80s was all about, but Rocky 3 is kind of right there. You go Rocky 3, and then, which is the beginning of the 80s, and Rocky 4, which is kind of the end of the 80s, and you can kind of wrap up the 80s in a bow with those two movies. But again, Rocky 3 is my favorite Stallone film. Close second is Demolition Man, because the interplay with him and Wesley Snipes is just awesome, and it's a great comedy action film. And a third I dig is Cliffhanger. I don't know what it is about Cliffhanger, but it's kind of like the last of the 80s films in the 90s, and it's just wildly absurd, but it's got those moments of like, how did they do that? And the stunts, and John Lithgow is a great villain in it, and they actually get you to believe that Lithgow could possibly kick Stallone's ass in this film. But I just kind of dig that movie too. But Rocky 3 is my favorite. So tell me what your favorite Stallone film is in the comments below, and why you like it. Anything else, let me know. If you dig what you see, please subscribe and join in. Have a good one, everyone.